back to another episode of Small Town Talk, brought to you by the Small Town Boys. Myself, John Travis.
Mason Campbell.
And Ella.
Ella, glad to have you back on once again. Today's episode, last episode we dove into Mason's kind of, would you call it hobbies or more of like a lifestyle?
I think it's kind of a lifestyle at this point.
Lifestyle. Start off as kind of a hobby
Hobby
maybe.
is something you just kind of do every now and then to pass the time. It's kind of like an everyday occurrence.
Yeah, I think what we're going to talk about today is kind of a mix between a hobby and lifestyle. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really know what it
It's
is.
starting to become a more introduced object in your life now. It's not as far as
Yeah,
just
it's-
like a hobby anymore.
Yeah, it's been more relevant recently. Anyway, we're going to dive a little bit into my side of things. Last episode we talked about Mason and how he got introduced to horses and how he kind of took on that role. So today we're going to be talking about how I was introduced to photography and videography and cameras
Yes. In depth.
in depth. So I'm assuming y'all have some questions for me.
We both definitely have some questions.
So who's going to start?
But the main question to start all off with is how much of an impact do you think it's taken on your life?
How much of it? Oh,
Like that's not a question. That's just like it is a question, but it's not like one of the questions we have. It's just like how much do you think you've incorporated it into your life?
not enough for sure.
Really?
Other than like when I first started, I kind of just took pictures to take pictures.
Mhm.
There wasn't really any purpose behind them. I was just like walking around wherever, down in the woods, out on the street, just taking random drives and random walks and kind of just looking. Oh, that would be a cool picture. This would be a cool picture to post on Instagram or something like that. But I mean, honestly, it has been super impactful as
Mhm.
like far as that aspect goes.
Now it's more of like almost like an everyday thing, pretty much, just because you're always editing videos and taking pictures and seeing how you can kind of make it better,
Yeah,
So, you know, you
I mean,
can,
I'm always practicing.
Yeah.
I'm always taking pictures and stuff like that.
making your skill set a little bit more wide range of
But as far
stuff.
as, I guess, financially and impactful, as far as maybe like you could even say like a brand,
Yeah.
hasn't been very impactful.
Yeah.
Which I need to change that.
Well, I mean, you got plenty of time now,
Oh yeah,
'cause
yeah. This is fantastic practice.
I mean, at least you're not at the job you have now. It's not like you're completely tied down all the time. At
Right.
least you have kind of your shifts aren't too terrible.
Yeah,
They could be worse or they could be better, but
yeah.
I mean, at the same time, we already had this conversation. You really don't like where you're at right now anyway, so it's like you
It
get
is
a
what
break
it
from
is.
Yeah. So I got a few questions wrote down, and then I got some on my phone too. So I'll just go through what I got. Actually, I don't want to hear this piece of paper, so I'm just going to go through what I got on my phone because that's so annoying. I was listening to it, and it's like crinkling everywhere. Okay, so how'd you get started?
I think I actually mentioned this in one of the previous episodes, but my cousin Ryan Penix.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure how he got started, but he's the one that kind of introduced it to me and kind of pushed me in that
Yeah.
direction because he, like I said, I don't really know how he got started, but he would do stuff for the high school. Actually,
Mhm.
it may have been like a high school yearbook or something like that.
If he was in the Northwest, it was probably the yearbook stuff.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking. I'm thinking like yearbook stuff. Anyway, and then he got good at it,
Mm-hmm.
and then he moved on to weddings and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a point in time where I was super interested, but I didn't have any sort of camera equipment or anything like
Yeah.
that. So I would go and just take pictures on my phone and stuff and ask for feedback from him and all kinds of stuff like that. And then this camera right here is actually my first real camera that I ever used.
That's what I was going to actually ask.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
was the first actual camera that I ever used. And it was about $300 at Walmart. I knew I wanted to get an actual camera. Like, it didn't need to be the
Yeah.
best. It didn't need to be
But you needed a camera.
yeah, but I needed a camera and not just my phone. So yeah, Ryan really kind of pushed me in that direction. I remember one night he had stayed the night at my house. He's like, "Man, let's go like take some pictures or something.
Yeah.
Like, let's just go out and just chill and have some fun." So we ended up. I'll put this up on the screen too. But actually, believe it or not, the first picture of the night turned out to be probably one of my favorite pictures I've ever taken.
Really?
Yeah, and I'll show you guys that after the podcast is over. But I'll lay it out for you. We were in the middle of the street.
Oh, I think you showed me that one.
Yeah, so we were in the middle of the street and it was night, and we had this it was an older battery powered lantern, but it was like a very warm color.
Yeah.
So we set it in the middle of the street in between the yellow lines, and I took the picture and I was like, I mean, it looks cool, but we need something else. And he's like, you vape, don't you? I was like, yeah, I vape. He's like, well, blow some smoke around it and then take your picture. I was like, okay.
All right.
So I did that, and I ran back, took the picture real quick, and it looked like steam, like coming up off the road.
I didn't know Blue Raz Ice could look so good.
Yeah, basically. But no, that's still to date probably one of my favorite pictures for sure. Yeah.
So, kind of walking us through this, you said this was your first camera.
Yeah,
I know nothing about technology, obviously. I mean, we all know this. So, what is all these? Go through and explain kind of what this is kind of like involved in, and like how you can kind of zoom in and all that junk on it. Because I have no clue. Like, looking at this, I know that there's an on button somewhere.
Yes.
And I know that you can probably press that button and take a picture.
Well,
but
actually,
as far as
there's
anything else, that's it.
There's an on switch.
Oh, okay. Well,
So half credit for that.
Close enough.
No. So this camera, it's not like it's a beginner camera. It it doesn't have a crap ton of settings on it or anything like that.
Okay.
Which probably makes you feel even worse
Yeah.
knowing that. But
Yeah, no, it's great. It's fine.
basically, just what the dial is all the different type of settings. Like if you wanted to do a landscape, if you wanted to do a portrait mode, if you were shooting for sports, there are basically quick settings to where you just switch it over and it changes the camera settings to whatever you're shooting.
Dude, I'm looking at you explaining this, and I'm still so lost right now.
So for example,
landscape. Okay, is that wide?
okay, yeah. So if you're
Okay.
you're on the top of a mountain, right, and you want to get this big, beautiful landscape, there's two really important things that you need to do.
Okay.
If you are shooting a landscape, one, you want to make sure that the exposure is set properly. So basically, all that is make sure that the lighting looks good on your screen.
Yeah, dumb it down. Yeah.
Okay. Exposure equals light.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Makes so much sense. Yeah.
if you're shooting a landscape, you want to make sure that the exposure is good. And sometimes you want to even make it a little bit darker, because if you had like the sun in the corner or something, that sun looking right into the lens is going to wash that whole landscape out. So when you go and edit it, it's easier to edit when it's darker. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Following.
Number 2, there's something called your f-stop.
Okay.
Okay? Basically, what that is, you see how there's like a pupil almost in the middle of this lens? Little tiny circle?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So what your f-stop is, that is what determines how much light goes through your lens and hits your sensor.
Okay.
And your sensor is what captures the picture.
Okay.
So if you're shooting a landscape, you want a really high f-stop, because that'll bring the entire picture into focus.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
But also at the same time, if you run a really high f-stop, that pupil in the lens will shrink. So that means your image is going to be darker. So then you have to fix your exposure again. So ways to fix your exposure is you can either use ISO, or you can use if it's like a landscape, you can even run a really, really slow shutter speed.
You look so lost.
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't.
Okay.
I'm like trying to take all this in. I'm not gonna lie to you.
So
I've heard f-stop and landscape. That's about as far as I've got in this whole situation.
Okay, maybe I'm going a little bit
And that
like
camera has a pupil in it.
maybe I'm going like a little too in depth for.
No.
No?
So,
Okay.
no, somebody, people will actually pick this up quicker. I'm more of like a hands-on learner anyway. So you're explaining this, great. Some people will get, good stuff out of it. Me, no. Like, I'm gonna pick up little bits and pieces of it. But if you hand that to me and say, okay, do what I just said, I'm gonna be like, okay, show me.
Okay, so I'm just gonna run over like super basics. And if you have any other questions, pile on.
Or you
top
can,
of
no,
it.
or you can just tell me how you're doing it right there, and then I'll like see it.
Yeah,
know how it works.
that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So where's your f-stop?
So your f-stop is controlled by this dial right here.
Okay. Dial equals f-stop.
So your lens has an f-stop, but also the computer chip in the camera can also digitally control your f-stop.
So which one are you using?
Both. Depends. So
There's two?
So this camera actually is good from 3.5 to 5.6. Okay?
Wait,
But
3.5 to 5.6 what?
that's your f-stop.
Is this what it was like when I was explaining my horse stuff?
A little bit, but like I don't understand any of that either.
Okay. We're not making fun of you, John. You know a whole lot about it, but right now I'm just kind of feeling like
I've
one of them guys that licked the
never
window in the back of the bus, you
understood.
know?
I've never understood cameras.
Okay, so this is what we're going to do.
So this button right here.
We'll make it hold
Here's
on.
what you could do. Like, take an example, not an actual picture, but like show him what you would do if you wanted to take like a really cool like landscape picture. Like the sun's in the way, so you got to get that out of the, like do that.
Yeah, like
Well, there's no battery in this.
I
Oh.
didn't say take an actual picture. I
Okay.
would just show him the buttons you
Yeah.
would use.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say you see this beautiful landscape.
yes.
Okay, this
beautiful.
is the first thing I do.
'Kay.
You want to change your focal length.
And that's the f-stop.
No.
Oh.
This is your focal length. Every lens comes in a focal length, and it's measured by millimeters.
Okay.
So this camera,
Yeah.
as you can see, goes from 18 to 55.
Now, is that like a gun? Is 18 going to be a bigger gauge than the 55?
18 is going to be a bigger image. You're going to get more.
Than a 55.
Yes.
So
So
it's like a gun or like a needle size or anything like that.
yeah, the higher the number, the smaller you're focusing in on, right?
Dude, I'm totally picking this up.
Yeah.
So
So if
smart.
if I used the 18
Okay.
and the camera was sitting right here, it
Yep.
would pick up a lot over here on the side. If
Ah.
I was zoomed into 55, it would be like just your face.
Okay, why did you just twist that thing and it sucked in and shot right back out to the same depth that it was?
I don't know.
Okay.
So
Got him.
that's the first thing I would do. I would make sure that my image is going to be as wide as possible.
You're
going
gonna
to
pick up what you
all
wanna
that
pick up.
stuff. Yes.
'Kay.
Second thing I would do is change my f-stop.
Now we're on the f-stop.
Now we're on the f-stop.
'Kay.
Okay. And that's important because you want to make sure that the whole landscape is in focus.
So f-stop focuses.
F-stop determines your focus
Okay.
and your brightness.
'Kay.
So lower the f-stop,
Darker the picture.
lighter the picture.
Lighter the picture.
Higher the f-stop, darker the picture.
Okay.
Correct.
Now I'm following.
Lower the f-stop, more blurry of a background. Higher the f-stop, less blurry of a background.
So either way you go, you're screwed.
Either way you go, you're going to have to compensate in some fashion.
Ah, gotcha.
Okay.
Like little guy, big truck.
Yes.
'Kay.
Anyway, so I would fix my f-stop. So I would want to run that up as high as I can without it being, pitch black. Okay?
Okay.
So then, after I get that all figured out, I would change my shutter speed. Okay? So this is super easy to understand. Shutter speed is the easiest thing to understand.
So far we're figuring out how wide we're gonna be,
Yes.
messing with the f-stop,
Messing with the f-stop.
getting that where we want it.
Yes.
Now we're fixing the shutters.
Now we're fixing the shutters.
We're
The
putting it in my
shutters
language
are
now.
going to be fixed, okay?
Gotcha.
So, very simple. The shutter speed is simply how long your sensor is open.
So that's like whenever you hear somebody take a picture, it's like,
Yes.
dude, I'm on it now.
So, for example, if you were doing a 1 second exposure, you would click your camera, the sensor would open up for 1 second. After 1 second, it would close. Okay?
Okay.
So, if my image is dark, you want to run a higher length of time that your sensor is going to be open so it can capture more light.
Okay.
So then I would adjust that. Then there's a third thing.
Wait, so your camera don't take all the light at once?
No.
How does that work? Like it's not instant. It's not like boop, got it.
No, it's not. Because think of your sensor like something that glows in the dark.
Okay.
Okay, if you took a flashlight onto something that like was UV and like glows in the dark,
Yeah.
and you just brushed your light over it real quick,
Yeah.
it would only glow for like a second and a half.
Okay.
But if you hold that light over it for a little bit
Okay.
and then take it off, it's going to glow longer. So it's very similar to what the sensor does. So
Except
the
it's
longer
not-
the light hits it, the brighter the image is going to be.
Okay.
The more light that actually hits the sensor.
Okay.
You following?
I'm following.
Okay. And then there's a third thing.
Okay. So we've made it to big picture, little picture,
Yes.
f-stop,
Yes.
fixing the shutters.
Yes.
Now there's one more thing
There's one more
to
thing.
complete one freaking picture.
You're correct.
Nice.
It's called ISO. I'm probably going to get flamed for this. I do not know what ISO stands for.
Basketball, 41 ISO, LeBron James. Got it.
I don't know what ISO stands for.
One thing.
Basically, all it is fake light.
Isolation.
So what it is the higher your ISO, the camera's like, okay, he wants more light, so we're going to digitally put more light in the image. But you also have to consider the more fake light that you put into the image, the more grainy it's going to be.
Grainy's no good.
Grainy's no good.
Okay.
We'll get into that later. Grainy's no good for right now. For this picture, grainy's no good.
For this picture.
Then once you get all that done, you just hit the button, and then you have the picture
That's
you
it.
want.
You just hit the button.
Yep.
Yeah. You just click. So what I got out of that is just push the button.
Now, let me be clear. That is for if you want to control all that by yourself. Do you see that picture of a mountain on there?
Not really. It's too far away.
That little thing right there?
The triangle with an arrow.
Yes, that's actually a mountain. If you click on that setting, it basically does it for you.
Continue. I'm just looking.
So that basically does it for you. If you want to tweak certain things, because that gives you very limited control of your camera. So all the stuff that I explained is only if you wanted to set all of your settings manually.
If you want to do the work.
If you want to do the work.
Okay. Now is it going to look better if you do the work rather than let the camera do it?
I'm going to say 9 times out of 10.
Okay.
The 1 out of 10 times are going to look the same.
Okay. So this has a picture of what looks like a guy. Actually, it's like a recording symbol, like with the like 2 little legs in the camera.
Yeah,
So that's for video, right?
That's just for video, yeah.
Okay. So what's the thingy with the guy and the star in the corner?
That is sports mode.
Okay. What is the thingy that looks like the guy's running?
Oh, did you mean that one?
No, the one underneath it. What's that one with the star in the corner? See what I'm saying?
Nighttime.
Okay. So the star's night.
Yes.
And then the running dude, sports mode.
That's sports mode.
What's the flower? Is that for landscape?
No. That is for portrait.
Okay.
So portrait mode would be like if I'm shooting a person or something closer up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. And then what's the flower? Is that what I just asked?
Yes.
And then the mountain is landscape.
The landscape, yeah.
And then you got a picture of a person, but that's not portrait.
That's not portrait.
I hate camera people. You're doing a great job explaining this, and I've actually followed quite a bit, but that's confusing.
It can be confusing. It took me a long time. Like, it takes a while to learn all that stuff.
That was my next question. How long does it take you to refrain all the information that you've learned?
I probably struggled with, because I mean there is more that goes into a picture than just that. But that's just like the settings stuff.
Yeah, that's like the basics.
That, like, once you know what everything does, basically you just play with it until you find out what works best.
Okay.
Because everyone uses it's kind of like a personal opinion type of deal.
So what's the difference between this camera and that one that you're recording on?
Okay, so this is called a DSLR.
Okay.
So really nowadays the only difference is in a DSLR the light comes in and hits a mirror
Okay.
and then hits your sensor.
Okay.
That is not a DSLR. That is just an electronic camera. So the light comes through the lens and directly hits the sensor.
It don't reflect off anything. It's just right
Don't
to it.
reflect off anything. They're just two different styles of cameras.
Okay.
Nowadays, it's literally just personal preference.
But I'm assuming that one is more expensive than the one that's sitting on this table.
Only because it's not as good. There are DSLRs out there that cost $5,000, $6,000, $7,000.
Oh.
There's cameras like that out there that cost $5,000, $6,000, $7,000.
And they do the same thing
They do the same thing.
as this and that?
Yep. Better quality. I mean, I could like some cameras have a better sensor on them. Some of them have different sized sensors.
Okay.
So that camera right there has a sensor of the sensor is a 24 megapixel. I'm just going to say the higher the number of megapixels, the better quality image.
Higher the number, better quality.
Yes. Lower the number,
Terrible.
worse the quality.
Higher, better. Lower, bad.
Correct.
Got it. I'm actually learning quite a bit right now.
Could you go out and be a
No,
photographer
no.
right now?
No. No. I don't even know how to use my phone. So, next question. Okay, so, Ella, do you have one? Or do you just want me to keep spitting them out?
Yeah. Has there been like any sort of challenges that you faced regarding photography that you thought like, man, I don't know if I can do that?
Oh yeah. Basically anytime anyone's like, "Hey, you want to come take some pictures for me?" Because I think I'm not good enough
Mm-hmm.
to do it, and I feel like everyone that takes pictures feels that way.
Yeah, you feel like you're crap
Until you
compared
do
to
it,
everybody else.
until you do it for so long, we're like, okay, obviously I'm
Not terrible.
not terrible because I'm, getting gigs and making money. But yeah, anytime someone asks me to take pictures and then offers me money for it, it scares me to death. Because I'm like, they're going to pay me, they're going to get these pictures,
They're not going to like them.
and they're going to lie to me and say they're so good, and
Yeah.
then they're going to be like, oh my God, like this guy, what's he doing?
Yeah.
But I know that's not how it is.
Because you've done quite a few venues where you've taken pictures of either, like you went out to Henderson's and took pictures of their horses, and then you went to,
Mhm.
you've taken wedding pictures, haven't you?
No, I've
Or
never
it
taken.
wasn't wedding, it was, what was it? I remember because me and you were talking about it. It was right, I think it was right before or right after you took pictures of me at Shawnee State.
Homecoming pictures.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that might be what it was.
Homecoming pictures.
Because I remember we went into Shawnee State one day, you said, I think you just got a new camera too. He was
Mhm.
like, I want to try this out. And
No,
see.
I got a new lens.
That's
That's
what
what
it
it
was.
was.
And he said, I just want to try it out. You want to like go take some pictures? And I was like, yeah, where were we taking pictures at? He's like, Shawnee State. So I figured he was talking like down by like the flood wall or something like that. Nah, this dude had me in the middle of Shawnee State college campus in a pair of sweatshorts, a green shirt, and a black hat. And I looked like I was the most ratchet guy in
I
Portsmouth,
remember
Ohio.
seeing those pictures.
Mm-hmm. Because then he sent me a picture, and I didn't realize like it looked wide, and I didn't know it was going to be like not wide when I posted it. So I just kind of zoomed in a little bit, and he's like, "Leave it up to Mason to crop the photo." And I went, "How did he know?" I was like, "How did he know that I'd done that?" And I was like, "Well, whatever." But I mean, and those pictures turned out really good actually.
Mm-hmm.
They went bad, and I was like wondering how you was like getting the different like light colors and everything, because it was a pretty dark day that day.
Yeah, and I think the harder part to taking a picture is the editing portion, because you can editing allows you to screw up a little bit on your initial picture.
Okay.
It can be a little too dark, it can be a little too light, it can be a little, out of frame, because you can always change color, change the brightness, crop it however you want.
Mm-hmm.
So that part of photography is what took me the longest to figure out.
And you transfer that from your camera to your computer, correct?
Yes.
With just an SD card? Or do
Mhm.
you have a cord that you hook into the...
You can do it either way. You can hook it directly up, or you can just take the SD card out and stick it in there. I usually do that.
So how do you edit it on your computer from your camera? Is there like a certain thing you have to download, like a program or something? to be able to
I
edit
use Adobe Lightroom.
it? Okay. And
That's kind of like the popular.
so you just like you can either plug that in or put like an SD card in or whatever, and you can like go through and do all that on your computer and all that stuff?
Yep.
That's pretty neat.
Yep.
I feel like there's a lot that goes into that though.
There
It's
is.
more than just plugging in a camera, I feel like.
Actually, no. It's basically you just either plug your camera in, stick your SD card in, and there's all your pictures. You just pull them off.
Yeah, but I'm saying I feel like there's just like a lot more that goes into it than just doing that. Like, because you have to go through every single picture and make sure that it's like.
Oh yeah, you gotta.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you gotta not only download all the pictures on your computer, but then you gotta shuffle through them and see which ones you want, see which ones you don't want.
I remember when we were editing homecoming pictures, you would like zoom in super far on the picture, and if there was like one little tiny blur, like, could you not use that?
He's a perfectionist.
I could use it and no one would notice unless
But
like,
you know about it.
they look for it. But I knew about it, so I couldn't use it.
That's what me and him had the conversation about one day. He said, you know, it takes me so long to edit stuff just because I see one little thing that nobody would notice. And it's like, no, that's not going to work.
Yeah, like if there's no pictures that's not quote unquote like perfect, then in my brain I'm like, I might as well just trash the whole thing.
Like nothing the naked eye would see, but he knows it's there.
Yes.
And it just bugs him.
I don't know if that's like if everyone does that, but for me, if it's not perfect, like it's got to be perfect.
I mean, me and him talked about it. Even the first little intro to podcast we did on there, you could see the top of the microphone, and it bugged him to death because you could see the top of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, no, I mean, nobody's going to care. Like they got to hear us somehow. And he's like, but I know it's there.
I thought you did it on purpose.
No.
That's what
I tried to make it look that way.
I mean, it looked that way
Yeah.
because like that's what I thought.
But
Yeah.
see, that's what me and him had. Dude, should we just like do it again? I'm like, why? You can see the microphone. I was like, so? Don't look good. And I was like, we don't have the boom arms in yet. We don't have the headphones in yet. We don't have the microphones in yet. What do they expect? Yeah, but I just don't like the way the microphone looks. And I went, John.
And you know what's funny? I didn't mention anything about like the way the garage looked or nothing. I'm
No.
like, this microphone
Yeah.
cannot be in this shot.
And that garage looked trashed. I mean, I literally had a hay bale right behind me, I'm pretty sure.
And your saddle.
My saddle was sitting in there. There was a heater right behind us. There was crap hanging off the walls. And John was worried about the microphone being in the shot.
Yes.
And I'm like, we got bigger fish to fry, John. No, I just know it's there. And I went, okay. And like when he edits the podcast and everything, he was texting me. He's like, I'm going to bring you over and show you how to do this. And I went, John, you're wasting your time. He's like, no. He's like, it takes me so long. And I'm going to show you why it takes me so long. And I was thinking, I know why it takes you so long, John.
Yeah, like the program or whatever that you use to edit the like intro and stuff, like it looks so confusing.
Is there a lot of buttons?
Yeah, like so many tabs that open up and like there's no pictures or anything to like show you what you're doing. Like it's just like a bunch of like words. And
Premiere Pro. I use
I
Premiere
would like
Pro.
to know how to use it because it's cool. But
What, like, it's really not that complicated.
yeah, it is.
Yeah, okay.
I really don't think it. Yeah, it'll kind of like take you a little bit to get used to it, but once you're used to it, you'd fly through. I mean, you know what everything does.
I'm actually very interested in this. Like, I think this is the most interested in one of the podcasts we've done. Just because I'm trying to, like, see what's going on in his head.
If I were to sit down, like, if you were like teaching me photography, how to shoot, how to edit, how to do all this stuff, we would be here for 12 hours.
That's why you're doing it.
We would seriously be here for 12 hours. If you were like, walk me from step one all the way to the finish line, we would be here for 12 hours.
And I mean, eventually that's, like, the goal. Like, we stopped and looked at that building on our way out of town, and, like, John was talking. He's like, dude, that's, like, the perfect setup. He's like, we could put computers over here. I could go in and just straight edit them right here, right there. Wouldn't have to worry about it. And, like, it was, like, the perfect size that I wouldn't mind, like, taking the time to just, like, sit down and actually see how he's going through it and how he's doing it. But right now it's just, like, not feasible the way that we do this. Like, because if I would say we wrap all this up and then I would come over to your house, at that point we're in a smaller room and you're, like, just trying to do it as fast as you can and get it uploaded as quick as you can. It's not like we have the time to just sit down and you to tell me every little thing that you're doing on it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, I'm doing this because of this reason. I'm going to go over here and scroll on this one, tap that little button. This is going to pop up, and then this thing's going to come, and a cowboy's going to come on the screen, and he's going to holler yeehaw, and there it is. It's done. And I'm like, huh?
Yeah, that's kind of how because was it the first or the second one that you were with when I edited it? I think it was the second one.
It's both of them, wasn't it?
I don't know.
But that's basically, I was like, I'm going to show you, because I've shown her stuff before, but
I was trying to like pay attention and
Yeah,
stuff,
like
but like
the-
I just couldn't. Like,
the very first few times I showed her, like she just couldn't retain it because it was just so much. So
have you seen what he uses to edit?
No, I'm kind of scared.
It's so confusing.
I couldn't use the PowerPoint app in school.
Premiere Pro is like a $700 program. They use it for Hollywood movies.
Do what?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of program?
It's for editing videos.
Is it like walk you through it? Is it like a
No.
diet program thing similar? No, they call it a program.
Yeah, the application itself is just like a program.
Okay, I'm lost. What the heck is program?
It's an app.
Okay, I'm following you there.
That's it. It's an app you use to edit your videos on.
It's $700,
Yes.
and it just downloads to your computer.
Mm-hmm.
And why is it $700?
Because of all the stuff that you can do with it.
Oh,
I mean, like I said, some studios use Premiere Pro to edit Hollywood movies.
so it's like somebody figured out codes to write out, make this thing look real good, and then they're like, we're going to sell it for $700 a pop,
Mm-hmm.
and they can do that legally.
Yes, they can do that legally.
Well, that sounds like a whole lot of bullcrap to me.
That's if you just buy it straight up. You can also pay like $20 a month to have it.
So how do they create the program, and like you couldn't figure out how to create it? You know what I mean? Like, could anybody just create
No.
the same program?
No. No.
So it's not something that comes
Mm-mm.
stock on your computer.
No.
So say you had a blank laptop or a blank computer, and you wanted to edit a picture just from what you have on your computer or laptop. Is it possible?
Yes, there are some free editors online that you can use, but they are nowhere near the extent of what you can do on any Adobe app.
Okay, so we're talking like,
Like there's
Whenever
this one, it's called Pixlr,
okay,
right? That's what I used before I got all the Adobe apps.
okay.
It's called Pixlr, and you can do like 4 things on it.
So there's a lot more than just like, for instance, if somebody says, don't use this in the podcast, you can go to that, you can cut that scene out and just start back up right where they're at. Like
Yeah, that's
where
how
they
it-
start again and continue.
Yeah, that's how I do my breaks,
Okay.
or
But-
our breaks.
But there's like only 4 things you can do on a stock computer app, but there's like a lot more that you can do on the $700 one.
Oh yeah, 100%. There's, I mean, literally.
Give me an example.
Thousands.
Give me one example of something that you can do like on those apps that you can't do on like a regular stock app on a computer.
On a stock app, you can basically cut the video,
So it's like stop it and start it up
like
again.
separate it.
Okay.
You can change volume of your audio.
Okay.
You can change it to like black and white,
Okay.
Can't
And-
you do like speed?
and then you can do speed and you can crop the image.
Okay. Now what can you do on the big one that you said, Adobe something Premiere,
I mean, literally anything you want. Like I said, they edit
like saturation, grain.
literally
clarity.
You name something. Well, I'm not gonna say everything because there is some stuff that you can't do. Like if it's special effects, Premiere Pro isn't like your go-to. It's possible. You kind of have to like do a little bit extra work.
Example, special effects.
Okay, so let's say you're standing on top of a mountain, right?
Okay.
And we're getting some drone footage of you, and the drone's just flying at you, and you're just like standing there. Like if I wanted text to look like it was behind you, not in front of you, but like behind you, and it be animated and like move behind you, you would have to use an app called After Effects, because Premiere Pro doesn't have the capability of like putting text behind things in an image. Or like a lot of people that use animations and stuff,
Yeah.
they use
Like Tom and Jerry.
no more advanced animations than that. They use After Effects,
Animations.
and After Effects is way more complicated than.
All right. Yeah, we're definitely getting off track here because I've went everywhere but the question I asked. Okay. Anyways, I'm sorry. That was my fault. Because I'm like trying to figure out what's going on. I can see his wheels turn as he's explaining. It's
Listen,
like,
like I
how
said,
is he not picking this up? Is he an idiot or
like I
something?
said, if I were to sit here and explain to you every single little thing, we would seriously be here for 12 hours.
But I'm actually interested in what you're saying. Like
I want to teach you.
It's very rare for me, and I say we can all attest to this, that it's very rare that I'm ever speechless. And right now I'm just kind of like, do it? Huh? No way. Okay, what? Huh? And then you're just looking at me like, this guy's not picking up anything I'm saying, but I'm trying. But my brain is like not that
Well, I mean, it goes
fast.
like last episode. Like I didn't know. Like I don't know a whole lot about horses.
Yeah.
But like if you were to sit down and explain every single thing about horses, we'd be here for 12 hours. You know what I mean? Like there's that much that goes into horses.
Yeah, but I feel like that's so much more simpler to explain than like you're telling me there's 1,200 different ways that you can make a guy in a picture look like he's like back in 1942.
I mean, there really is.
That's what I'm saying, you know? If I tell you something about a horse, it's like, yep, that horse right there, yep, that's a fat horse. But you could tell me that, like, that picture right there, yeah, it wasn't in 1942. It was 2023, but, dude, this is how I made it look like this. Then you go, like, straight down the line, and there's, like, 1,200 things that you've done just to make it look like that.
Yeah, you can see, like, the one cool thing that Premiere Pro has is you can basically, like, look at your history and look at all the things that you've edited, like, in that video. And, dude, sometimes the list is just
And that's what I'm saying.
huge.
That's why I'm so, like, actually interested in it, is because it's so complicated to, like, do that. Like, people don't understand. Like, I don't understand, like, whenever you edit a video, and I'm like, oh, that looks good. But, like, I don't really truly realize what all goes into it. You know, like, I don't know that it's, like, the constant hours of you sitting there, like, literally looking at a picture and being like, okay, so this has got to go down, this has got to go up, that right there needs tweaked a little bit.
And,
you
like,
know, it's like every little detail you have to, like, go over, because if not, whenever we look at it, yeah, we'll look at it and be like, well, that kind of looks sideways, you know. But in reality, you've done, like, 12 or 14 things to get it to that good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but if you wouldn't have done anything, it would have been, like, upside down and sideways, you know?
Right.
But it's like, oh, it kind of looks
From your
sideways.
from your perspective,
from a-
you're like, I just spent like 2 hours editing this photo, and you're like, it's crooked.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah,
like,
from, like,
bro, like,
From
really?
from an uneducated standpoint, that's what it looks like, you know? Like,
And that's what gets on my
you
nerves.
don't get it.
Like I always take feedback, good or bad.
Yeah.
I take it to the chin. I don't care what it is. But sometimes I'll show people my picture, and they're like, "Well, that right there, just like if it was just like a little bit more to," I'm like, "Listen, I tried for 4.5 hours to get that little thing out of the image. It didn't work. It
Yeah.
frustrates me.
That's
But
like,
I listen, because next time I might shoot a different way to where I don't even have to worry about that.
yeah, but
you know
at
what I
the same
mean?
time, it's like that guy had no clue what she was doing.
Which I don't.
I don't. it's like,
But like
it's not bad, John. Could be better. And you're like, I just spent 7 hours on that one
like
little spot.
editing these podcasts.
Shut your mouth, you know?
Editing these podcasts actually doesn't take a tremendous amount of time, because it's basically uncut. Basically, the only thing that I do on these podcasts is like change some volume levels.
That intro though took forever.
The intro did take a while, but
It was
That-
also 3
but-
hours long.
I want you to realize this. That was a simple edit. It did take a while, but it was a very simple edit.
Yeah, I edited that one.
You're such a liar.
Well, like you like had to sit there and like figure out what part of the video that you were gonna use for it, and like this, we were like sitting there counting it.
We
Like-
did math.
Yeah. Trying to edit the
Like,
intro.
we had-
You did meth?
No, math.
Ah,
We had our
I was
calculators
gonna
out,
say I
like,
missed the party.
doing math to
yeah, we
figure
were
out
like
how
counting,
long we
trying to
want.
figure out where the music should start, and like how slow the video needed to be to match the music, and like the audio.
So you're telling me there's a lot more that goes into it than just clicking the right button on the mouse.
Yeah,
Sorry, the
there's-
left button on the
there's a lot.
mouse. See, I just
What-
messed that one up.
What's your next question?
Ella, do you have one?
Yeah, this one's an easy one. What is your favorite type of place to take pictures?
Yeah, it's a good one.
I do like landscape, like going out and taking a hike or something and going out and taking a picture. I really, really enjoy that. But my favorite type of picture is probably night photography, just because you can do so much believe it or not, you can do so much at nighttime. Like I said, my favorite
Elaborate.
picture I've ever taken was at night, the middle of the night. It was like 3 a.m. and it was just a lantern. So, you know how I was talking about your
There we go again.
your shutter speed, how
Yeah.
long your sensor is. So, you can literally, and there's a guy on TikTok that does this, and he's been doing this for years, and it is so impressive. He has this light bar, and this whole thing can change color. It's like completely RGB.
Mhm.
He can make it any color he wants. So he has the setting on his camera to where the sensor just stays open. It doesn't shut until he comes back and hits the button for it to shut. Right? So it just stays open. And it's pitch black outside. And he takes this bar and it's called light painting. And he'll wave it whatever way he waves it, and he makes pictures out of it. He like in the middle of the woods, this guy, like, he doesn't have a template or anything like that. He has his camera and a bar that lights up all different colors, and he literally drew the Grinch. Like, it was the Grinch. When he came back and hit the button, it was a neon Grinch in the
See,
middle of the woods.
I just don't understand how that's like possible. Like, how did he do that?
Well,
Like,
it's pitch black outside. So his shutter was open, so his sensor was open to any light that's coming in. But it was pitch black, so no light.
I mean, I guess I get it, because if the shutter speed is like slow or whatever,
It's like a
like
live
it's
picture.
gonna get all of it, but it just like it's hard to like grasp.
It is. It sometimes I've learned this too. Sometimes you're just not going to understand. You know how it works. You don't know why, but you just get it.
Yeah.
So like, you know, like, how it works, but like, you don't know how it works.
Mm-mm.
Like, that's kind of where I'm at on that as well.
Okay.
Mason don't know what to even think right now.
I'm actually very interested.
I mean, it's
Like, it looks like I'm not, but like, I'm really trying to figure out what's
Yeah.
going on in that brain of yours.
It's
But-
interesting, but it's
Yeah, this
just
is-
hard to understand.
This is actually like not, in our normal podcasts are like back and forth talking and like trying to figure out like what I'm gonna say, what you're gonna say, what Ella's gonna say. But right now, I just really just want to kind of hear what you have to say, because I'm like drew in now. It's like, what's he gonna? I'm like just about to disconnect this microphone and just listen to you talk for the next hour and 45 minutes.
but
Like, that's where I'm at.
night photography is probably my favorite. Second favorite would probably like go on a hike in, because for me, it's more than just a picture. It's kind of like when I look at a picture, it's like I remember that whole day, like what we did. Like if I got like an awesome landscape picture, I was like, oh yeah, me and Ella went on a hike, we hiked, we did this, we did that, and like those memories are connected to that picture. So like now that picture to me has meaning.
Gotcha.
But, like, if you were taking a picture for somebody, like, has anybody ever said that they didn't like it?
No,
That's
It's-
probably a
but-
good sign then.
but it's
Mhm.
going to happen eventually, because not everyone's going to like your style. Like every photographer has their own style of picture.
That's the good thing with our relationship, though, because like, if I do something you don't like, you're gonna tell me, and if you do something I don't like, I'm gonna tell you. It's not sugar coated,
Yeah.
you know. So like, I
And
mean,
that's what I tell people. I'm like, listen, like, you're paying me money. Like, I am doing this for you. Like, you're paying me. So if there's something that you want me to change or you don't like, be honest with me. It's not going to hurt my feelings.
Yeah, like, that's what I have to do with my job,
Yeah.
basically.
yeah, like it's almost like if, okay, say that, going back to like that building that we looked at. So
Mm-hmm.
we set up the room to edit all the pictures, okay, and you're breaking down how you're gonna edit the pictures, and I'm sitting there like, what if you do it this way? And you're like, that won't work. And I'm kind of like, oh, okay. It's almost the same as like if we're building false walls in there, and you're like, let's do it this way, and I'm like,
That won't
that
work.
won't work.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay. So it's like, I'm going to tell you if something's wrong, but you're going to tell me if something's wrong. And 9 times out of 10, if I'm talking electronics, it's wrong. So it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like everybody's got their own little knack, and yours is just like, you kind of picked up photography and videography or whatever you call it, and kind of like ran with it.
Yeah, anyone can learn how to do it. Like, photography is a very learnable skill. Like, believe it or not, Mason, if you give me enough time, you could learn it and you could be efficient at it. But what not everybody can learn, like, you can't learn the skill to, like, sit down and look at something and figure out what way you want that shot to be orientated. Like, some people just have an eye for it. Like, I drive down the
Yeah.
road. Sometimes I do this a lot. Not here recently because I've kind of backed off from photography, which I need to step that back up. But when I was in it real heavy, I would be driving down the road. I'd be like, oh, that'd be a great picture. Oh, that would be a great picture.
Yeah.
Oh, I could work with that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm always thinking about, and I see the picture like in my head. Like, I see the picture before I take it, or I see that video clip before I take it.
I'm not. Yeah. It's like me going down the road, looking at a house and saying, "That's a nice house.
That's a nice house.
I could build that house." You're going down the road and you're like, if I took a picture this way and flip my little Dewey dial over here this way and touch my little knobber over here this way, it's going to look really good.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what goes through my brain.
Okay, so, like, say somebody wanted to get started with photography, like, what would you tell them that they need?
What do they need? Something that takes a picture. That's it.
That's it?
That's it.
Like, any advice?
Oh, yeah. Number one piece of advice, obviously, they're your pictures. So don't really worry about don't worry about what other people say about it.
Yeah.
But starting off in photography, you're going to think a certain way. And as you continue to do it, you're going to think a different way. Like, your ways of taking pictures, your ways of laying out pictures, everything like that is always changing. Like, you might have a set style you kind of stick around, like ballpark,
Mm-hmm.
but like, you're always changing, always growing.
Yeah.
So, like,
Because you want to get better.
yeah, so there's a guy who is on YouTube, and this is honestly how I learned probably 75% of everything about photography. His name's Peter McKinnon, and he started off, his sister had got him a little tiny digital camera for his, I think it was his wedding gift, or maybe it was his birthday, I don't remember. It was a gift that his sister had gotten her, and he never used it, and he had it for like 2 years. So one day he said he was just sitting home bored. They got back from like skateboarding or something, and he just looked at the camera. He's like, you know what, whatever. I'm gonna go take a picture. I'm gonna use it or something. It was a little digital camera. So he popped some batteries in it, and his first ever picture was him he laid on the ground in the grass, and he took a picture of a blade of grass. And he said after that, he was just hooked. And all it was just a picture of a blade of grass. Like, it was just seriously just a blade of grass. And then he said it was just after that hooked, because with photography, you see stuff with your eyes, but I feel like with photography, you can put more emotion into it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can change the emotion of a picture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Make it warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, because that's something that you always have to consider when someone looks at this picture. How do I want them to how do I want them to feel when they look at this picture? Do I want them to be happy, sad, get excited, scary,
Yeah.
whatever it might be, warm and fuzzy, like you said? So whenever you start taking pictures, just know that it's going to change, and you're going to start thinking more, and you're going to start learning more, and you're only going to get better at it. You can't get worse at photography, because your first picture probably going to be your worst picture ever.
Okay. So here in a minute we're going to get ready to take a break, but I want you to think about this while we're on the break, and then the people watching this can kind of think about it till, it's going to be really quick for them, but it's going to be just a little bit for us. But what are 3 ways that you can, like, completely improve your photography and your videography skill set, like, and take that to the next level? Don't answer it yet. but just kind of think about it. And whenever we come back, I'll ask the question again, and you can kind of break it down to like where you were, like where you're at, and where you want to be, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
How to achieve that jump.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back. And we're back. So the question that I asked you before we went to break was, where was you at beforehand, where are you at now, and how can you improve to where you are wanting to be?
Okay. So is this is that question particularly for me, or is that for anybody?
Yes, you. Where did you start at?
For me. Okay.
So we've kind of covered that. Okay. Where are you at? We somewhat covered it, not really. And where do you actually want to be? Like in the future, do you want to be a guy that takes pictures for like how Discovery Channel, Sports Illustrated, stuff like that? Or are you wanting to do more of like a personal, like photography get up?
Definitely personal.
Okay.
So like for instance, right now, I'm working on my first short film.
Mm-hmm.
Ideal, because it's kind of hard, because you can do both photography and videography, very simple, but that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work to do both.
Yeah.
Because you might have video takes a lot longer time to edit, but more people want photos.
Okay.
I find more satisfaction out of videography than I do photography.
So you lean more that way.
So I do kind of lean more that way. I've always been fascinated. I'm fascinated more by videography than I am photography. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
I love both of them.
Yeah.
But videography for me is kind of what I want to step more towards.
That's what you want people to know you for.
Yeah.
Yeah, he takes pictures, but have you seen his videos?
Yeah,
have you seen his movies?
That's basically what I want. That's why I started this short film. And for the longest time, I was like, I don't got the equipment for it. But I do.
Okay, so talking about your short film, why don't you go ahead and kind of explain that a little bit? Like, what is it? What's it about?
So I'm calling it The Hill.
Okay.
I'm just going to give you a really condensed version of it.
And he actually has the trailer set up too, so he can actually put that in the end of this video after we sign off, and you can kind of take a look at it.
Yeah, it's a little teaser that I made just to let people know that it's in production.
We'll definitely throw that at the end of this.
Yeah. What was your question?
Honestly, I don't remember.
You said like 3 things that you can do to improve.
Okay, 3 things that people can do to improve.
And like you start talking about your short film and why you like that, and then you were explaining what it's about.
Yeah, you were explaining your short film and then go to the improve.
Okay. So my short film, like I said, I'm calling it The Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it's about this guy who has a really bad past that his current friends don't know about because he had to skip town.
Okay.
They end up going on a hike and they get separated. They stumble upon this one character, the main character, stumbles upon something in the woods up on a hill. There's just a strange structure. And basically he gets curious and he touches it. So he immediately blacks out, drops to the floor, and he is reliving his worst memory in third person.
Like
right,
why he
so
had to leave.
Yeah, so he's watching this replay. So then after he watches that, he wakes back up. Well, the structure is gone. So he's deciding to go find his friends, but he keeps coming back to this field. Everywhere he goes, he keeps showing back up in the field. And the structure's not there. He does this into the point where he basically goes insane and he's forced to really think about what he did, and then he comes to regret it because in the beginning of this film, he doesn't regret it.
Yeah.
Right? He does it. He's really a bad guy.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really regret it, but
doesn't care.
As he's kind of going insane, he's forced to think about it more and then learns to actually regret it and then wakes back up in the field with the structure there, and now he's back into real life.
So it's almost like that one movie that was on TV, what's it called, 30 First Dates or whatever, where the guy keeps living over the same day until something clicks, and then it's just
yeah,
like
kind of
something goes along about it, and it's like, oh,
Yeah, he's going
Now
to
they're
go
back
through this.
in real life.
He's going to go through this long, miserable process until he finally flips that switch
Okay.
and then wakes back up into reality.
And now he's back in with where he was walking up to the structure. Just
Yeah, current time.
okay.
Yeah, no time has passed in the real world.
What's your time frame looking like on this short film?
20, 25 minutes probably.
I was gonna say they're probably anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, there's some short films that are a little bit longer. They're considered short films. They're like really high production short films that are like close to an hour.
Okay. But this is gonna be like a 20, 25 minute
Yeah,
kind of
and
episode.
the people, the ones that are a little bit longer and really high quality, they have like a whole team that works on it. So
Okay.
like this is, I'm
yeah,
gonna
this
have
is you, dog.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a few people that help me, but majority of the work is gonna be done by me. Like I'm about halfway done with setting up all the scenes and kind of like the script, but I haven't started like shooting anything yet.
Okay. So now, kind of like Ella said, how can you improve on what you're doing right now that you see?
Just get out. The first thing is just quantity. The more you can get out and shoot, the more you're going to perfect your craft. I mean, it's the same as anything else. If you go and shoot 1,000 shots, you're going to have a better shot than the guy that came in and shot 100. You're going to have more knowledge on what to do. You're just going to get more familiar with it. You're going to be more comfortable. And having all that is just going to end up with you having better shots.
Okay. So it's just you're wanting to like push yourself past like what the average person will do. They'll be like, okay, I've done it 99 times, it's close enough. You're the guy's gonna be like, I'm gonna do it 100 times and make sure it's right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Second thing is you got to be patient because, like you said, it might take 100 times for you to get it right,
Yeah.
and you don't want to settle for something that's subpar.
Well, that's
Which I don't have a problem with that because I'm a perfectionist. I will stay there for hours if I have to get that the perfect shot. But
that's definitely something I struggle with because like earlier when we were talking in the podcast that we had done before this one, where I was like, we're walking Nelly down the yard, and it was like after 2 minutes, I looked at you and I was like, okay, she's really starting to get on my nerves.
yeah,
That's something where you're like, okay, how can I really kind of manipulate this situation, make it better?
yeah,
What can I do to make the next time I do this go easier rather than, okay, really starting to tick me off. We're going to do this and it's going to work.
yeah, because it's really easy to get excited and you just kind of want to bang through stuff, get
Yeah.
it done, see the end product, you're excited about it, but you're like, no, let's take
Slow
some
it down.
time, let's slow it down, let's actually get a really, really polished, finished product instead of being excited about it and kind of wishing that you took more time in the end.
So what would you consider like the peak of your journey so far? Like right now, like a certain person may have commented on something, a certain person may have liked something or given you feedback on something. Like what is that moment that sticks out in your head right now of, hey, I've more or less made it in a way of like what I'm trying to do so far?
I'd say probably two of them. I did some work for, Henderson. What's her first name? Beth Henderson. Yeah, I did some work for her up there. She's, she owns a huge business.
Very
She's
wealthy woman.
well known all over the Ohio. And, honestly, completely missed opportunity. I went up there a couple times, but kind of stopped doing it because I didn't have a whole lot of time to really focus on it. And I thought if I didn't have, a set amount of time that I wouldn't be able to do it, which is completely not true.
Because she wanted you to take over like taking pictures and controlling her podcast?
Yeah.
Did you edit her podcast or somebody else? Oh, you done it all?
Yeah.
So she like had that all set up where you was going to take the pictures of her, the stock that she was trying to sell or whatever it was, and then actually kind of take over her podcast too. Which honestly, I can kind of see why you didn't do that part of it, because like we had talked about doing this one, and it'd be like really hard to more or less manage the editing side of two podcasts rather than one. So I can kind of see that.
It was kind of a situation where, dude, don't get me wrong, she paid me very well.
Yeah.
She paid me good. But it wasn't quite good enough to be like, okay, I'm going to quit my job and like basically work for her business.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, I don't have time to do both, and I can't quit my job because I got to pay bills. But if I don't quit my job, that means I'm not going to have as much time to do this. You know, so it's kind of like
Weigh
a
your options
trade-off.
out.
But looking back in retrospect, it was a really bad choice. I should have just put my nose down and just grinded it out,
Mhm.
because who knows where I'd be right now.
Yep.
Also, it has not happened yet.
Mhm.
I think I'm going to say the right college name, but Austin Kinker kind of got me connected to the dean of Wright State. I believe it's Wright State. Do you know? He shoes his personal horses.
It's not Wright State. Is it Wilmington?
Yes.
Okay, because that sounds more
I
familiar
think
than
it's
Wright
Wilmington.
State.
Anyway, a dean to a college has my phone number somewhere.
Yeah.
somewhere. But another thing that I had to kind of sit back and really think about was, do I want to go and like take pictures of horses?
Yeah, who wouldn't? Oh,
I know
wait, sorry, I'm just a little
I know
biased.
you would. You're just a little
I'm
biased,
just a little
but
biased sometimes.
like, yeah, it's taking pictures, and to get started, you do. Whatever you
Oh,
have
yeah.
to do. You take anything. But I'm like, this is kind of going in a direction where if I continue to do this, this is like basically what I'm going to be doing.
Now look at you. You're hooked up with a guy like that. You're
Yeah.
right where you need to be.
Yeah.
Honestly,
So
I
anyway.
truly believe it. I believe we're kind of right where we need to be at this point in life because, we've talked about it. We've tried the YouTube thing before, and the videos itself kind of went to crap and didn't work because that wasn't us. And now they're kind of like actually seeing us. They're seeing that like we're not the guys that go to the gym at 5 a.m. We're the guys that'll like actually tell you what we're thinking and how we're feeling, and you kind of get to know us. Yeah. So I honestly,
Absolutely.
I feel like we're kind of where we need to be. I don't know if you
Mhm.
feel the same way, but I feel that way.
No, I feel the same way.
Because
I completely agree.
we've talked about that a lot, and like it's a lot for Ella to actually compliment us in a good way, like too much. But whenever she says, this is actually you guys, like you guys wasn't the guys that done the YouTube videos, like that was not you.
Listen, y'all, Ella is honest.
Yeah, sometimes it hurts.
She'll tell you, what's up. She
I-
really will.
9 times out of 10, I love Ella when she shuts up, just because she's hurting my feelings all the time. Her mouth's open.
I can't take it
Yeah.
anymore.
I
Would
sw-
you rather me lie?
No,
Yes.
no.
No.
Ben Mason.
No. Yeah. No.
No.
Don't sugarcoat it.
Um,
I just cry every now and then when you talk.
number 3 thing, it kind of connects to what I was talking about. If you don't like what you're shooting, then just stop.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get any status. You're not going to have
Yeah.
any desire to like want to get better at it.
Money's not everything if you don't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you need to pay bills, pay the bills. Go do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you're in a position where you're like basically have to pick a direction, don't pick the direction just because it pays more.
Mm-hmm.
Pick the direction and you're like, okay, this is the direction I want to go in. Yeah, I'm going to take a pay cut. It's going to take longer to get to the end because you're kind of starting back up from like the bottom. But in the long run, you're going to be way more happy.
Yeah.
Because when you are enjoying what you're shooting,
Mm-hmm.
the shots or the video is just going to be 100% better because you're fully invested into it.
Yeah, and it's like an actual unique video. It's not like your standard one you see pop up on a freaking Facebook ad or something.
Yeah.
It's like an actual genuine, because me and you've even had this conversation, like the stuff that we video now and the way that we like talk now, we really never had the opportunity to like fully kind of talk about like our religious views or anything like that, because when you're trying to film just a regular YouTube video, you're trying to get the views, Yeah, you can throw a word in there every now and then, but like we have a podcast already set up like later on down the road where it's just going to be dedicated to nothing but that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, and the way that you're actually setting up the videos and actually shooting the videos, it's like you can tell that there's time put into it. Like it's not just thrown together, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you're actually taking pride in what you do. Because like you said earlier, if me and Ella would try to sit down and edit this video, it would look like 3-4-year-olds grabbed a piece of
What
paper
the
and started
heck?
coloring with crayons on it. It wouldn't look right at all.
It wouldn't really get edited at all.
No, it'd be like, Ella, yeah, let's start it here. Like, you do this little thing where you'll set the camera up and then you'll record on it, and then you'll press record on the microphone button, and you'll sit there and you'll like clap your hands and be like, okay, now I can sync the voices up, and I'll be like, huh? What do you mean sync? What? You're like, well, we started the camera and the camera's recording, but the microphones wasn't starting at the same time, so I'm gonna have to go in there and make sure the voices line up. And I was thinking, I wouldn't know to do that. Heck, I just post a daggone video, and they'd be like, hey, you know, like that's what it looked like. And it's like, I would have never thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had no clue. Whenever you sat down the first day for the first podcast, and you sit and you went, okay, we're good. We can go ahead and
You're
start
like,
now.
are you okay?
Yeah,
Like, what was that?
Yeah, I was like, well, you said, oh no, because whenever I go back into, start editing this, you said, I just got to like line up the claps and then we're good. And I went,
Yeah, it's that simple.
oh yeah, simple. Yeah. But like I said, I wouldn't know what to do. So
But like that is common knowledge through like people who do this kind of thing, but it's something that I had to learn on my own the hard way.
yeah. And I
Because
mean,
I didn't know about it. I thought,
and even like that knowledge that you had right there, somebody watching this probably just said, that's why my stuff's not lining up. Because they probably had no clue like how
Yeah.
to do it. And now they're like, oh, it makes sense now. Until like, me and Ella, the invalid people we are not very intelligent when it comes to this. We just look at it and we're like, why is he clapping his hands? Like, shut up, we're trying to talk. And you're
yeah.
like,
So
well, this is how we can line up your talk.
how I do that is because there's audio recording on the camera itself too.
Okay.
So it hears everything that the microphones hear. I mean, it's quieter, but I have it to where the only thing when I have it on the app when I'm editing it, the camera sound, the only thing that like spikes up in the volume bar
Mm-hmm.
is my claps. And you can see my claps in the microphones when you're editing them. So you just line them up.
So
Everything's in sync.
what's that little hoochie majiggy do that's underneath the table that our microphones and everything's plugged into? Is that recording our
Yeah, that's recording just
vocals?
Yes.
Okay, and then you're also recording on the camera,
Yes.
but you're not using the camera volume,
No.
or you're not using the camera sound.
No.
You're using the box doohickey thingy.
Correct.
Huh?
I thought you knew that.
No, I really didn't.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I really it's really interesting to me because I really have no clue. Like, I would not know where to start. Like, you brought these things out, and the first day you said, okay, there's a little heart right there. You're like, talk into the heart. So I like had the microphone up here and I was like talking into the bottom of it. And then I remember at one point I was like, dude, can I just like twist this thing around and talk?
And you're like,
just
oh
can I just talk like
gosh.
straight into it? And you went, it's not going to hear you. I went, it's a microphone. How's it not going to hear me?
And that's something I need to work on. Like I don't take into consideration that people might not understand what the crap I'm talking about. You know, I might just kind of ramble on. They're
I'm
like,
so
"Oh, that's a good picture." I'm like,
so
Mm.
glad
"Oh
he
yeah, I did."
understands now.
Blah 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 blah, and it's just garbage
Yeah.
to them.
Yeah, because like I said, whenever you told me that, I had the daggone microphone up to my daggone forehead, and I was talking into the little heart button thingy majiggy, and I was like, "Why can't you hear me?" And you're like, "Mason, I didn't really mean talk into that. That's the side that the microphone hears." And I was like,
Yeah.
"But it looks the same on the other side." You're like, "It don't matter." And I was like, "Oh." And then you said, "Make sure you're not like right up on it, because it's like my microphone's not going to hear you."
Right.
So it's like, make sure you're not right up on it, because if you are, like, we'll be able to hear you breathe. Like, if you drink, and obviously it's no, like, surprise I chew, and you'll be like, do not spit next to the microphone, because we will hear every bit of that.
Yep.
And I remember the first podcast we was on, dude, I got so thirsty. And I have an addiction to these Mountain Dew amps. And I was, like, sitting here, and Ella was talking. I was like, reach over and pulled it up on my lap, not thinking, like, cracked it open. You could hear every bit of it. And I went, sorry. Like, set it back down. But it's like, it's interesting just like how much even this can pick up, or like how much your camera can pick up, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, we can hear freaking Todd and the hooligans over the hill barking, but like the microphone's not picking it up because the microphone's not pointed toward them.
Yeah.
The only one they're really going to hear it out of is Ella's. And I mean, she's got hers far enough away from her that you ain't going to hear it anyway.
Like,
Yeah.
like I could get into microphones. There's all kinds of different types of microphones. That's like a whole nother. I'll ramble on for another 40 minutes about that, but
No, my headphones just started like buzzing really loud. I
it'll
don't
do
know.
that.
Okay, I was gonna say,
It'll do that.
was your guys doing that
No,
too?
mine did that the last podcast.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I was sitting here and I was like, yeah, I just touched my daggone microphone. It's about to blow up.
No, no, you don't. You don't hear it.
I hit the self-destruct button on it. Like, But I mean, it's really interesting to think like what all goes into it, like
Oh yeah.
truly setting up like lighting and setting up like you was talking about these sheets. Originally, we only had the one right behind Ella, and you said if we get them other ones, I can widen that frame out or whatever you said a little bit, and then we can pick up more. And I was like, just move the camera back.
Yeah.
And it's like
no,
it's just like so much easier. You can just do it
not how
right
it
there.
works.
Yeah, and it's just like you can do it right there. Looks better. And I was like, I don't know, let's go freaking buy some more sheets at Walmart then. I don't know. It's like, but like that's just the way your brain thinks. Is like without any of this up here, like you saw it without it being up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. Like I see everything, almost everything that I do, I have it laid out in my head how it's going to look.
And that's why I think that like certain people are very good at this, like you are, and then certain people like me aren't, because like I said, you saw that in your head. When I walked in here, I saw like a sheet, and I was like, "Yep."
You're like, what kind of hardware are we going to need
Yeah,
to
I
hang
was
this
like,
thing?
dude, I mean, John's over here talking about like wide angle lenses and all this, and I was like, well, if we had a piece of conduit, we can put some screws in a ceiling, we can hang out there and put that sheet up. That'll look real good. And John's like, well, I get this 27 millimeter 007 camera lens and put that thing in there. I could really mess with that light fixture and make it look like it's a dangling chandelier. And if you really just really look at it, and I'm sitting here like, yeah, piece of conduit up there, really make it look good.
Yeah. Did I feed my horse?
Yeah, it's like that's stuff I struggle with. Did I lock the gate? John's over here like, if we really think about it, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. But if I really flip the camera upside down and put it in a bucket of water sideways, it's going to look like we're underwater. And when we're underwater, it looks like we're breathing and talking.
No, but seriously, that's how it is. Like, I go like that, like in my thinking process for everything, that's how far I go.
Yeah, and I'm just sitting here still trying to figure out, like, what 8 plus 8 is, you know? The difference in people is crazy. Obviously not, but, like, the difference in, like, personalities and capabilities of people is crazy.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I know nothing about cameras. I know nothing about videos. I know nothing about a microphone. I know I talk into it and I can hear myself in my headphones. Kind of flip the script. You know nothing about horses.
Yeah.
If I told you to go down there and saddle Nelly up, put the bit in her mouth, but, you know, tighten it up a little bit so she's got tension, you'd be like, all right, so
I'd have that thing shoved down her throat.
how do I put the saddle on? You know, it's like, that's the same thing for me. If you looked at me and said, okay, Mason, I took this video. I want you to take it down to the house. I want you to hook it up to your computer, and I want you to adjust your f-spot and do this. Okay, here. I'd be like, okay, so I got this picture. That's like all I would hear.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the rest of it, nah, no clue.
Yeah.
Google? Absolutely.
Yeah. Quick Google search. Google teaches you a lot,
But-
if you need it.
But still, I think like the way that you would break it down and explain it would be so much more in depth than like looking it up. Like your personal experiences is a whole lot better than looking something up on YouTube. Like it could be something as simple as somebody
Yeah.
looking up how to change a radio in a car. Okay, you watch that video of somebody doing that, but if somebody comes over and actually shows you how to do it and shows you the way they do it, you're going to comprehend that a whole lot more than by watching a video of somebody doing
Yeah.
it.
And some people can watch a video and pick it up, and some
Yeah.
people you got to sit down with
Hands-on.
and say, okay, this is what you do for this. This is what you do for that.
Yeah.
That's how you get this.
And that's what we talked about at the beginning. I was like, okay, you're going to have to physically pick this thing up, and you're going to have to show me like what these do.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you kind of walk through it, it made more sense just like than you just sitting there trying to explain it and looking at it and pointing at it. But still, there's a lot more that goes into this than people think.
Yeah.
So even what you said, yeah, okay, I heard what you said. I understood what you said. Now, if you tell me to do it, I'm not going to know how to do it.
Yeah.
And you told me how to do it. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be something that's going to have to be, like, almost drilled into my head of, like, okay, so you push this button right here. It's going to bring up this screen. Okay, it brings up this screen, and then we're going to walk through this. You know what I mean? Like, we're
Mhm.
going to walk through it, and we're going to do it. And it might take 2 or 3 times of you doing that for me to get it. But eventually, it's like, okay, I'm going to get it. Rather than somebody going, okay, so, like, take school, for example, whenever they put them big textbooks in front of you, and you're trying to see, like, how they explain it in a textbook. you're not really going to fully understand that until somebody comes over and breaks it down.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of like where I'm at
Yeah.
in the situation. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Kind of. I'm picking up what you're saying. Like, I'm putting it in my head, but when it comes down to me actually doing it, it's going to have to be like a set down computer screen in front and you just like walking step by step through, this is why I'm doing this.
Yeah, and then once you do that, if you wanted to set up for a picture or whatever, you go through your steps. You blah, blah.
Exactly.
But for me, like, there are steps, but not really. It's just second nature.
Yeah.
I just do it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
you're
I
just
know.
in there and you know exactly what tab you need to go to and click on that to make this work. And to me, it's like, okay, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
You already know why you're doing it. You don't have to ask yourself why you're doing it. You already know. For me, it's like, okay, why'd you do that? So you explain it, and then it's like, okay, well, the next step. Why did you do that?
Yeah.
And so on and so forth the whole way through. When in your head, it's like, okay, I'm doing this for this reason. I'm doing this for this reason. This is going to make this look better. This is going to make that look better. And it's like it's like muscle memory, but it's also like you retain that much information that you don't have to second guess yourself when you do it because you know.
Yeah.
It's just like, all right, I'm going to go right into it. Done.
Mm-hmm.
As far as, like I said, again, if me and Ella try to do it, it'd be like, we kind of look at each other for about 5 minutes and be like, we need to call somebody. You know?
YouTube's not helping me.
Yes. It's like just two totally different personalities.
Yeah.
Or comprehending levels. Like, I would comprehend certain things different than you would when it comes to, say, like building a house. But if it comes to like your videography or your photos, I'm clueless.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes that much more for me to learn too, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I really think it's really interesting, honestly. And a lot of people look at it and they're like, oh, you know, it's okay, he takes pictures. But actually, like the way that you broke down everything, they're actually going to look at it and be like, oh, that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
And I honestly feel like the people watching this episode is going to kind of be like me and Ella were when you was explaining it. I feel like they're going to be almost kind of like glued to the screen, like, what's he going to say next?
I hope so, because, I mean, like I said, anybody can be a photographer. You can learn all the skills. Anyone's capable of doing it, so.
I mean, honestly, if I'm sitting here with my mouth half wide open the whole daggone time, I feel like it's a good chance everybody else with ADHD is going to do the same thing. You know, like it's.
Well, I hope because we kind of rambled on there in the beginning, but I hope.
Honestly, I don't. You think, like, you asked us when we went to break, you said, am I talking too much? And me and Ella was like, no. Ella was like, no, you're not. And I went, I'm actually 100% like interested in what's going on right now. Like, that's just like, I'm not sitting here looking at you because I'm not interested in it. I'm sitting here looking at you because I'm like, okay, now, what's he going to say next? Like, why does he do it that way? It's real easy to talk about a horse. It's a whole lot harder to actually make talking about, like, editing and camera stuff. It's a lot harder to make that interesting. Because, let's be honest, a lot of people look at it and they're like, yeah, blah, blah, blah.
They're like scary.
Yeah, but like the way that you broke it down, it's kind of like almost a crash course in a way, wouldn't you say? Of like, kind of like the basics of, well, his basics, but to us, it's like rocket science. But I mean, it's like, you can kind of see what's going on in your head.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people just see us sitting here talking and don't know like what all goes through your mind. But to us, it's like, now we're kind of starting to somewhat understand why he does certain things.
Yeah.
And I'm still never going to fully understand why you put freaking lights here and
You
f-stops
will
there.
one
And
day. You will one day.
f-stops sounds like a bad word, and it's still going to be a bad word to me because I still have no clue what it means. But, I mean, it's like I said, just the way that you break it down and kind of, for lack of better words, dumb it down to people that have no clue what you're talking about. Now they're kind of like, man, so I could get a small little camera and actually just start small.
Yeah. Start with what you got.
I mean, I feel like that's what you've kind of done is like you've kind of put something in somebody's mind of, okay, I don't have to be smart. I can start with a little digital camera, and if I like it, great. If I don't, it's a small digital. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you put that in somebody's head.
You don't want to save up $1,500 and get a good camera and be like, oh crap, I don't like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, if you got a phone, you can edit your pictures on your iPhone in the camera app. Like that's where you start.
Yeah.
That is where you start to learn how to edit. That's how I started. You take a picture on your phone, you play with the lighting, you get all, I mean, you do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go and you edit it, you figure out, oh, okay, this does that. If I do this, it brings that light. You just play with it.
But I mean, I legitimately mean it when I say you probably actually have like inspired at least 4 or 5 people that watch this to be like, okay, I can actually try.
I hope so, because
know?
before I thought photography was dumb until I started actually doing it. I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. And then once I realized, like I said earlier, like if me and Ella were to go on a hike and we did all this stuff in landscape, like
Yeah.
you have that picture. Okay, it's a cool picture, but now every time you look at that picture, you're going to remember
Memories.
that entire day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's what I'm saying. You've probably inspired at least 2 or 3 people to be like, oh, okay, like I can really, truly actually do this. Because let's be honest, the episode we done on me, they're going to look at it and be like, yeah, it's a horse. He spends how much a month? Not doing that. But John just put it in their head like, dude, you can get a $50 camera and start this. And they're like,
Absolutely.
no kidding?
Yeah. 100%.
And it's like, all right. You remember that picture we took at, where was that? Planet Fitness. We got steel wool and we got rope. And John
Yes.
convinced me to light it on fire and fling it around over top of my head in the middle of Planet Fitness parking lot.
I don't have that picture anymore. My SD card basically just broke.
I mean, this was like a spur of the moment. John said, listen,
3 a.m.
we're going to get some steel wool. Okay. Going to get a lighter. We're going to get a rope. And I'll tell you what we're doing when we get there. And I was kind of like, all right, I'm in. So the first time we went back to, where'd we go?
Shawnee Forest.
Shawnee Forest, yep. And John brought the wrong wool. He brought like the cleaning.
It was real thick stuff that you couldn't like light on fire.
It wasn't
to
light on
match.
fire. No matter how long you held it there, it wasn't light on fire. So, we got the rest of the steel wool, and I still actually have some of that down at the house. But we pulled up. I had my Civic at the time, I believe.
Mhm. And it is 12 degrees outside.
I mean, it's cold. And there is people in Planet Fitness. I think this is before COVID, so it was still open 24 hours. And there was always cops that would, like, come around Planet Fitness up here. So, like, we were literally doing this in between, like, cop stops. I was jumping out of the car, lighting this on fire, and flinging it around my head. Well, I would get, like, 1 or 2, like, rounds on it. The steel wool would fly apart, and flames would go everywhere. Like, I'm talking down around my feet, down over toward the car. And every time I done it, John kept saying, we're going to have to do it again. I'm sitting there thinking, John, I'm going to catch myself on fire at some point doing this. But this is kind of when you were, like, learning how to do, like, the motion picture stuff.
That's when I was
So-
super interested in like nighttime long
Yeah.
exposure stuff. Like I was trying to practice.
So every time he'd be like, gotta do it again. I'm sitting here thinking, every time I've done this, John, I've gotten closer and closer to setting myself on fire. But all right, let's do it again. So here I am tying the rope on. People at this point are coming over to the windows at like Planet Fitness, just like looking
They're like,
out.
what the heck? Because like steel wool, when you light it on fire, it's bright.
And
It's super bright. And we're just, you just see this guy, because you couldn't really see me because the lights were off and it was dark, and you just see this guy over here just swirling some fire in the parking lot, and everyone's like, what the crap is that?
and as soon as it starts flinging around, you hear phew, phew, like pieces of it flying off, and it's like, phew, phew, phew. And I'm like, yep, it's where I get caught on fire. Is it good, John? Nope, gotta do it again. Son of a gun, pick up what you're wanting to and let's go, because the cops are going to be here. The fire department's right down there. This is not a good look.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was like, and you like kind of broke it down then. You're like, well, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get the whole like shot of that thing going in one loop and making it look like it's just been spinning around. So it wasn't the fact of me spinning it around, him getting a video to make it look like that. He was trying to like capture every single like frame to make it look like the circle was just there and I wasn't moving. But I was like, John, we could definitely like pick a better way to do this. But he was like, the way he explained it is he pulled up his phone. He's like, watch this TikTok. You see that TikTok? Okay, here's the steel wool. This is what we're going to do. It was like I had no choice at this point. He's like, I got a lighter right here. I got steel wool. You got any rope? And I was like, yeah, I got rope, John.
Actually, I think, I could be wrong, but didn't we just tie a whole bunch of shoelaces together?
No, I had pieces of white construction rope or yellow construction rope
That's what it was.
in my car, and we tied those together to make
Yeah.
one big string.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Because they were all like this big, and here we are out in the parking lot freaking braiding rope together to potentially catch myself on fire, and
Yes.
John smiling the whole time, more or less looking at me like, I got this idiot to catch himself on fire.
Yeah.
But
It was a
I
good
mean, the
time.
picture actually did turn out good,
It did.
I think.
It did.
And then
I wish I still had it.
we'll just have to remake it with Ella.
Great.
Can you spin some fire?
Probably not.
She can
Mm.
spit some fire. You ever heard her mad? Anyway, so we've talked about kind of where you was at, or where you started, where you was at, where you want to go. So I guess the last question that I would have, I'm trying to figure out how to word it. Do you have any questions? Because I'm trying to figure out kind of how to word this.
I don't think so.
What would be a big piece of advice or a encouragement to anybody of any age that thinks they're trying to start too late or thinks they don't have the skill set to do it? What would be like a piece of advice that you would give them, more or less? They got people telling them they can't, they want to do it. What would you tell your younger self that thought you couldn't do it?
So, like I mentioned, Peter McKinnon,
Mm-hmm.
he took pictures forever.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't become quote unquote professional until his mid 30s.
Okay.
So he did it for like 12, 13 years, just casually, before he actually went like professional.
Yep.
And then ever since then, like he does photo shoots for like Mercedes-Benz. His pictures are posted on the billboards in Times Square. I mean, he has one of his pictures is printed on Canadian currency. Like he just casually did it just for fun, just for fun. And he was working on his craft. He had no desire really to like make money off of it. He just had a passion for it.
Yeah.
And then one day he's like, let's go pro. Like, let's take it to the next level. So he did, and look where he's at now.
So but what's your piece of advice to give somebody that wants to do it, but they have people telling them they can't do it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can. It just takes time. Like I said, just get started. That's the hard part. Just get started. Like, just get up and go take a picture.
Just do it.
It doesn't have to be of anything specific. Wake up, go take a picture of your shoes on the porch. You know what I mean?
Like, you're not going to become professional overnight. So
You're
you might
not.
as well
You're
just
not.
start.
You're not going to get good watching YouTube videos. You're going to get good going out and doing it and figuring it out yourself.
Makes sense.
The more pictures you take and the more time you put into it, the better you're going to get. Like I said, that's for anything in life too.
Honestly, I feel like we could sit here and like talk all night about how to do this and do that, but I really don't think there's enough hours in the day to
No.
really go through like
No,
what
we've been going at this one for a while.
yeah.
So
Like what all's going in your head. But I mean, later on down the road, there will definitely be another segment on this. I think.
yeah.
'Cause I think there's a lot more in there that can come out, but my brain is like at full capacity right now, and Ella's looks like it's about to explode off her shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that's not a bad thing though. I mean, at least you actually made us interested. Like I can genuinely say that I was interested in this one. Like it was one that I just kind of sat back and just tried to shut up and just let you talk, because it was actually like very interesting to see like what's going on in your head and how you actually go about things. Because you could go about things different than this guy, or different about this guy, but we don't care about them guys. Like we do, but we don't, because you are a part of this. And it's like interested to see like how you look at it,
Mm-hmm.
coming from your perspective. So I really think that was a much needed segment, I think, just to see, because I mean, if people really want to know who we are, you just gave them a pretty daggone good explanation on who you are. And I mean, it's a very, not just a stupid camera guy, like you actually have a lot of knowledge up in that brain that you could just like I said, if we sat here all night, we wouldn't get through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can talk about horses for 2 hours and people are going to be like, okay, I feel like I kind of know about horses. Well, you just talked about camera stuff for 2 hours, and I feel like there's like 6 more hours there, you know. So I really actually genuinely enjoyed this one.
Yeah.
I was just kind of like,
I had fun explaining. I don't get to explain in depth about stuff like that very much.
and I mean, like I said, it was I learned a lot from it. I probably won't remember it in the morning when I wake up, but I learned a lot right now.
I'll tell you again some
know.
other time.
But I mean, I think that was I think we're better off to just stop now where we're at. And like I said, pick it up on like a part 2 of this.
Yeah, we'll have a part 2 on
because
this one.
I figure like people will actually like want to see another part of it. So I think we just need to, what do we end on right here? We end on what you would tell your younger self or a younger person on how to start. So I think that is a good place to pick up whenever we do another spot of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like we said, there will be a video of your short film at the end of this one. So that's it's probably 2 minutes long, something like that.
I think 30 or 40 seconds, I think.
So once you see us go off the screen, don't log off just yet, because there's going to be another little Easter egg hidden there. And I think we have the next podcast set up.
Yep.
I can't remember what that one's going to be over.
Let's keep that one a secret.
Yeah, because we have 3 or 4 right now. No, we got more than that. I don't know how many we have, but I think it's closer to 8, wasn't it?
We have 9.
Oh, we got 9.
Yeah.
See, that's what he does the thinking. I'm just here. I'm just a pretty face. So so by the time you see this one, hopefully we will have already had the other one started at least, because we're going to try to do what, 1 a week, 2 a week.
We're going to post every Sunday.
Yeah, that's the plan.
We're going to post one podcast every Sunday.
And if we do end up posting 2 a week, it'd probably be middle of the week sometime, I would assume.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, the next one we'll kind of keep it kind of hush-hush and just kind of keep a lookout for that one. But we have the episode about horses. This will be the podcast before this one, which will have already taken place. And then we got this one, and then keep an eye out for the next one. So I think for now, I think it's a good place to stop on this one, like I said, because there's a lot more there to pick up. So for that's all I got to say on this one. You guys got anything to add?
Well, I appreciate all of you guys for watching. I had a fun time kind of explaining myself. Like I said, I don't get a lot of chances to actually do that, so I had a good time. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, leave some comments down below on some podcast topics or any questions you might have. Yeah, and share this with as many people as you like. We're not going to hinder that in any sort of way.
We one more thing, didn't mean to interrupt you. We got a couple questions that were actually sent into John.
Oh yes.
So I think we have talked about kind of just doing an episode where we're going to answer like a bunch of those at once.
Yes.
So we have, how many did you say you had sent? 2 or 4, something like that?
Yeah, we got a couple. Yeah.
So I mean, I think whenever we get around 10 or 12, we'll kind of dedicate
a whole episode.
Dedicate an episode to that. Just because if we start throwing them randomly in there, it's just not going to make sense, and it's going to kind of go off what we're talking about, and it's just going to be a bust. So
yeah,
I think, like you said, we just dedicate a whole episode to that.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, like you said, if people have recommendations on certain things they want to hear, topics, whatever, just kind of leave that in the comments or whatever. We will be making social media accounts for this. I'm assuming we'll do a Instagram account. We're really not on Facebook a whole lot, so Facebook probably won't be a go, but we got TikTok too. So we'll definitely make a TikTok account and an Instagram account, and it'll
all the updates.
It'll be Small Town Talk is what I think we're talking about calling it, right?
Yep.
So keep a lookout for that, and I'm going to shut up until the next one.
Thanks for watching, and enjoy this little trailer I got for you, Mason. What do we say every day?
What do we say every day, Ella?
1% better every day.
1% better every day. Guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.